Hello guys, welcome back to Into the Wings, your musical theatre podcast where we explore the on and off stage lives of your favourite performers and creatives on the West End. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Hayley Craven, who is currently DSM on Jersey Boys. Hello Hayley.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you on. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
How's your day been?
It's been nice. Yeah, it was my day off today. So I've come in back into London.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. You know, you want to work in the West End? Be in the West End.
True.
Here I am.
True. Are you here? So is that going to be 7 days this week that you're in?
Yeah, it will be, yeah. Well, 6 days a week.
Okay.
7th day free.
Sorry about that. What's the travel like? Did you have to come far?
Not too far. I live in London, so it's about half an hour on the tube when the tube is running smoothly as we want it to. But yeah, it's not too bad.
Which is not very often,
yeah,
unfortunately. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. A little bit of a different one today because obviously you're not on the performance side, you're on the backstage side.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little overview of your role?
My role is to, as a DSM, I cue the show. I have the script with me. In the script is all of the cues. My job is to coordinate between all the departments who are operating those cues, such as lighting, sound effects, flying, to make sure that they all run smoothly and at the same time.
Yeah, it sounds honestly very complicated. It sounds like I would probably have a panic attack trying to do that. What made you decide? That sounds like a very difficult job. So what made you decide that is the route you wanted to go down?
I think I got into stage management through my love of organisation and stationery, because there's a lot of both of those things. I'm a very, very big fan of paper chase. And I really just enjoy doing a lot in the show without being seen, and being very involved. I'm sort of, I don't want to put myself right in the centre, but I'm on the side of the stage. I'm right in the middle of all the action. People are going past me all the time. Costume changes are behind me. I props everywhere. And it kind of speaks to my desire for just helping smooth the chaos.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And you haven't been on Jersey Boys too long, have you? Because you were on Noises Off.
Yes, so I was on Noises Off at the beginning of the year. That had a short run, so it was a just 12-week limited run, which I did that, and I was the assistant stage manager on that one, which is more being in the wing, looking after props and helping cast members as needed. And then I've been on Jersey Boys for about 2 months now.
Nice.
Yeah, the show's been going on longer. I think it's started just after the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been going a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came to see Noises Off. We really enjoyed it. It was really cool.
Oh, great.
I can imagine that from a backstage point of view, there actually isn't too much to do because a lot of, especially with your role, because a lot of the props and prop setting is done on the stage, right?
The presets, so the setting up before the show and the interval scene changes, they're sort of where a lot of the action takes place in terms of the backstage people. But yes, during the show, there's no scene changes per se. The cast do a lot of their own, moving their own sardines, as you well know. But we have to keep track of where those sardines are. And in rehearsals, rehearsals, it's very important to keep on top of that. So like a lot of the work, physical work happens sort of during rehearsals and during the preset, and then during the show it's just monitoring and making sure everyone's okay.
So in your changeover from, well, specifically Noises Off to Jersey Boys, but just when you change over shows generally as a DSM, do you get much rehearsal? Because obviously performers will have weeks to rehearse. Do you shadow people? Do you get rehearsal?
Sure. When you join a show like this, you would be learning during the live show. So as the show caller, learning how to cue the show, I would come in during the daytimes with the person I was taking over from. His name was James, and James and I would sit in the stage management room with a cup of tea, and we'd just go over and over the scenes. And if you were learning the show on the deck, doing a backstage track plot, you would have your cue sheet and the person you're learning from, and they would, you would do it
live. Kind of like shadow them.
Yeah, shadow them and then sort of start doing it, and then going from there.
Oh, cool. That sounds fun. Yeah. What is the most complex part of the show for you in Jersey Boys? Are there any parts where you're like, oh my God, this is There's so much going on right now.
There can be some. I think in terms of cueing the show, there are definitely sequences where you've got to keep in time with the music, keep an eye on the MD. So you have an MD camera, you could see him, see them doing that. Yeah, watching the screens as well, because there's flying and automation. So we have 2 different departments of flying and a department of automation. They do 2 separate things. And remembering to keep count and keep talking. And there are just moments where lots of cues come together. So you just have to be, ready to speak. When you're cueing a show, you would ordinarily say, let's say, fly Q1, go, fly Q2, go. When it's very quick, you don't have time to say the full thing. So you're like, flies, go, LX, go. And you just can't have anyone else talking over you because it will all go wrong very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll just fall behind in the lighting, or, bring a fly cue in too early, and it would just look bad for the show. You don't want that.
Yeah. And is it on, so for instance, if you give the LX cue and it's a little early or a little late, if the LX person knows that, oh, actually, I think that's a bit early, or oh God, we're too late, do they just have to follow you, whatever you tell them to do?
Best practice would be to follow the DSM, and then it's on them if it's wrong. Yeah. Yes. I think the only exception would be is if you're doing a live cue that would affect the health or safety of members of stage. So if the DSM calls it early or late, whether it's for a reason which is just because they were wrong, or because there's another factor, meaning they had to delay the cue, someone was in the wrong position, for example. If I say, bring in this fly piece now, and the fly person can see there is someone directly underneath it, maybe don't do that. But there are people on the deck that will often be the stage manager, who is just watching the show and spotting those cues and making sure there's safety. We have a lot of e-stops around the stage for the automation, and the stage manager is on the side of stage in the wings, watching, making sure everything's safe, and is ready to call a stop on anything at any time as needed. So, there's other factors in that for safety that are there. There's
lots that you don't realise goes on when you're watching it from an audience point of view. You wouldn't realise all those things.
And we don't want you to, we want you to immerse yourself in the magic of the show. Like it's a bit disappointing for us whenever we have to have a technical issue, for example, and have to stop the show, because for us it's like, oh, we're breaking the magic. Even though I'm sure quite a few audience members are like, wow, it stopped. I saw this thing, it was amazing. For them it's something, unexpected and different, whereas for me I'm like, oh no, I wish I wish it had gone smoother, but never mind. But sometimes you have to stop.
Are there any new challenges in this role, this show, that you haven't faced before, or is it all fairly?
I think every show has its own challenges. On every single show there will be, for stage management, there will be a prop. There will be that one prop that just doesn't behave the way you want it to do. Either it decides to break all the time, or it has a very particular shade of paint that you just can't find anywhere. You have to go all the way around, the town trying to find a DIY shop that has that mix. There's always something. I think on this, it's maybe the longevity of it really is just, I've worked on a lot of shows where it's very limited, like Noises Off was very limited. It was always going to run only for 2 months, whereas this is an ongoing show. So it's sort of about, keeping your own morale up and not getting too complacent with the show. Like, it's very easy to go, I know this show, I will just phone it in. Like, in every discipline in theatre, like, you just can't phone it in because it will read. And we don't want that. We want it to look good and fresh and, be as exciting for everybody as it is.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you have any techniques that you use to keep it fresh? Because obviously when I ask performers, they'll have things that they do slightly different in each show to keep theirs fresh. So what do you do to not?
For us backstage, I mean, you will see sometimes it's just a case of, like, in between shows, somebody's brought in a deck of cards, so we're going to play a game in between shows, or go for a walk in between shows just to keep yourself, just get out the building and appreciate outside, and then come back in and feel ready to do it again, maybe. Yeah.
You didn't start off on the backstage stage management side of it, did you? You actually started off with a little bit of performing when you were younger.
Yes, I did. In amateur, and one group described themselves as semi-professional. So let's go with semi-professional. Yes, I think that's the way a lot of people get into it, is in school and taking an interest in drama. And I did start out as a sort of performer in amateur dramatic societies. I was Glinda, the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz. I was also, what else did I do? That's it. I was trying to think what the other show was. It was Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Oh, Bugsy Malone. I was Bugsy Malone. I was Snake Eyes in Bugsy Malone as well.
Oh, yes.
Yes, which I can't remember what I did. I had dice, that was it. I had dice and looked sullen. And I'm very good at looking sullen, so I think I was well cast.
Yeah.
So
Is that the one where Michelle was Knuckles?
Yeah.
That's funny. Michelle is my sister. Hayley is very good friends with my sister. For those of you that don't know. So what made you change from wanting to be on the performing side to wanting to be on the stage management side?
I think I really enjoyed performing, and it was fun, but I just knew it wasn't really for me. You know, I wanted to work in theatre. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of it and just the mechanics of it. And I just didn't feel like performing was really, for me, wasn't going to be a career for me. And I took an interest in it, as I say, and through my dad's friend of a friend. He was the company stage manager of a show called Seven Brides, Seven Brothers. And I went there and I met him because my dad knew I was very interested in theatre, and I went and met him and he said, oh, you'd like to come and see the show? And I said, actually, can I just see what you do? And he said, yeah, sure. And that started about a month of me every day going, that was really fun. Can I come back again tomorrow? And he was very kind and went, okay. So I would be at school doing my sixth form degrees in dance and drama and stuff, and then hopping on a train, going into London and going backstage at the Haymarket Theatre, and just being with the different backstage groups, departments, and trying to sort of get a feel for what each department did. And they were all very, very lovely, very patient, and answered all my questions. And they were very, very nice. So I went through all the different departments, did a bit of wardrobe, lighting, sound, stage management again. Oh, stage management's fun. And I kind of just stuck there really. But I have tried my hand at other departments. But I think stage management is where my heart is.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think if it hadn't have been for the friend of your dad's, do you think you still would have found your way into stage management?
I'd like to think so, but it would be interesting what the path would have been to find it. Really, it's not particularly nuanced, but if you're, if you don't know the theatre world and you come and see a show and you open up the programme and you see all the list of names and the list of job titles, you wouldn't necessarily know what they were, because the programme isn't to explain what they do. It's just, it's the credits. And I do wonder how I would have found more about it. I also, when I was at sixth form, we did shows at school, and I had told my drama teacher that I was kind of interested in stage management, and she said, but we're doing a production now, we need a stage manager now, would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. So I sort of picked up a couple of books and just like, what does a stage manager do? They sort of props and manage the wings. Okay, great, I'll try and work that out. And I sort of painted scenery and helped put the costumes together and did it through that way. And then after that, when I was looking at colleges, my drama teacher, Miss Ellie, suggested looking at stage management courses at drama schools. And so I did it through that. So, I think it was a combination of those couple of things there. Yeah. Stars kind of aligned there.
Yeah. So on that subject, you studied theatre studies at A-level at college. Yeah. And then on from that, you went to Rose Bruford and did a stage management degree, right?
Yes.
How was the stage management degree? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I really did, yeah. It was a 3-year course. I think they've reconfigured what that course is now. I think it might be more like a technical theatre, which I think is very useful. I didn't do much technical theatre at college. There was opportunities to do that. You could carousel and go and look at the other courses as well. But I think they've made it a bit more modern now. There's a lot more of those technical elements that I don't really know a lot of, but a lot of graduates come out and know a lot more than me, and like, great, you are useful, you will go far. Yes. So I did that, and it was great. It was a great experience. Rose Bruford is quite a small campus, so they don't have loads and loads and loads of productions. There are other drama schools that have quite a few going all the time, and this one was a good balance of sort of the foundation, the degree itself, and the practicality of stage management.
Yeah, stage management strikes me as the sort of thing similar with performing, where you can read as much as you want theory-wise about stage management, but you don't really learn how to do it until you're just thrown in and doing it. Do you think that's inaccurate?
I would say that was very accurate. Yes, it's like with most things, you can read about it, but it's not until you're doing it that you sort of really get a grip.
Yeah. And was there a lot of practical elements to your course as opposed to theory? Do you think it was quite an even balance, or was there more?
I think it was quite an even balance, and they were good at encouraging us, they encouraged us to go out and try and get some work experience.
Oh, cool.
And it was part of the curriculum to do that, but they also, as long as it didn't interfere with college work, go and ask nicely if people have some time that they could have you on for a show. And a lot of theatres do, now we're at COVID as well, that's sort of starting to come back. There's been quite a few years where we've just not been able to do any work experience due to health, safety. But it's sort of coming back now, I think, getting a few more work experience people through again, which is nice. It's nice to sort of share it on and see that more people are interested and continue being interested in backstage.
Yeah, it's nice. And you did work experience, right?
I did a couple of rounds of work experience. I did work experience on my local theatre, which is the Wharf in Crawley. And I went there in sixth form, and then I went there again when I was in college at Rhodes Bruford to do a placement there for a week, sort of do some technical stuff. Very practical, like did a few get-ins and get-outs. Just rigging,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's all these things that I don't really do now.
Yeah. But it gets you in the space, doesn't it? And it's nice to just
yeah.
be involved and know what happens on all the other departments.
I think that is, I think it's very important. And even if you're not on a technical course, if you're in an acting course or a drama course or a design course, definitely do work experience backstage and try and see what everyone does, because that's a really good opportunity for you to learn what everyone does and what parts everyone plays in creating the show every day, or from scratch in rehearsal process. I would encourage everyone to go backstage and just see what everyone does, so you get an understanding of it.
Yeah, if you had any advice that you could either give you starting out thinking about wanting to do stage management, or to someone else that is also in that position, what do you think key pieces of advice that you would give are?
I think do try and write to your local drama group or professional theatre and ask them if they would be willing to have you in for a day, and just see what's going on. Try and see what parts of the theatre you would like to do or what takes your interest. Be willing to learn. I think I was guilty of this as well, but when I was in college, I think I got to second year and I was already working professionally in the West End. I was already follow spotting on this show and this show, and I knew everything by that point, but you don't. You're in college still, so be willing to learn. And even now, several years in, I still don't know everything. So I like to try and get to know what everyone does and what cues do what. For example, so I can better make judgments at work. For the smooth running of the show. So, yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah. No, that was good. That was really good advice. Can you remember what the first show that you saw was?
I can remember one of the first shows. I saw the Chuckle Brothers live on stage at the Wharf. And I was very intrigued because they had a set piece, which is a big house, and one of the Chuckle Brothers jumped into the chimney and his legs were sticking up. And I could very clearly remember his legs wobbling around. And then his head appeared at the bottom of the stage, or the house, and his head was poking out the window. And I was completely taken by this illusion, how are they doing that? And then I ended up going, I think with school a few weeks later, maybe we went to see pantomime, I think. And I asked one of the ushers how that works. And they said, I can't tell you, it's theatre magic. And I was like, theatre magic? I'd like to do theatre magic.
Wow, yeah.
I was even now I'm not entirely sure how they did that. I'm pretty sure I know how, but I'm sure I saw him go in. So how did, whatever.
Yeah. I would be baffled as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I blinked and you missed the person jumping in and puppet legs or something. But yeah, I was very intrigued by that, and I think that's kind of why I'm now in theatre, thanks to the Chuckle Brothers' legs.
Who knew?
Thanks, Chuckle Brothers.
That's a very fun memory. I like that one. Was Rose Bruford the only place that you looked at and applied for? Did you look at a couple of different universities? What made you pick Rose Bruford?
I applied to a few London ones and a few non-London ones as well that were doing more technical courses or theatre studies courses. And I did have an interview at Rose Bruford and another London college and a college up north. I don't want to say which one, but I didn't really feel like I was going to be a good fit for those other courses. They didn't speak to what I was looking to learn and do, and Rose Bruford did. And luckily for me, they offered me a place, so that was great. So London colleges aren't the only colleges in the UK. And there are many excellent ones around the country. So definitely, as if you're looking to go into drama college to learn, check out other ones around the country.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same with when you audition for a performing course. You kind of get a sense as soon as you enter the building, don't you? Really, if it's going to be the right fit for you. That's what I found when I was auditioning for drama school, that I felt as soon as I walked in the building, I was like, well, I'm not going to fit in here, or actually I really love it here. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think you can feel, if you can see yourself there, and you're there in the building, but sometimes you go, I don't know, speaking to the people here, speaking to the lecturers, maybe this isn't for me. Or maybe, I'm very interested, maybe this is for me. Yeah. It's the same for us as well.
Oh yeah, let's talk about your previous work before Noise is Off. So you mentioned that you did some follow spot while you were studying?
Yes, so I did that in my first or second year. I can't remember exactly the timeline, but I started off as a follow spot operator. The big moving lights that the cast stand in. Often that was me. I've worked with some very famous people, but they were very, very tiny and very, very far away. So, who knows if it really was them. But yeah, I worked on Spamalot. What else have I done? Legally Blonde, Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Quite a few shows that are all closed now. But I've done did quite a lot of follow spotting, and I did attempt sound, but I wasn't very good at it. And it just, when you're doing a job and you go, this is nice, but this isn't really for me. And I've had the sort of luxury to be able to decide that this career path wasn't for me and go towards the one that I did want to do, stage management. So I've attempted to fit mics into hairlines and the clips weren't working. I was like, you know what, I'm not getting a grip on this. I'm going to move away from sound. So I've tried my hand at other things as well. And it's been, like I say, it's been a good experience. The more that you see and do of other departments outside of the one that you do, it just gives you a better understanding of how hard everyone else works, like how hard everyone works and what everyone does to achieve the show that goes on every day.
And then, so after you did your little follow spot stint, did you start off with the tours? Straight out of Rose Bruford, did you go on tours or? I
spent about 2 years working on expenses only. So I stayed working in electrics departments doing follow spotting and some stage electrics plots while I was trying to garner more stage management work experience. And it can be difficult when you're applying for straight out of graduating. It can be difficult because you'll often come up with you don't have enough experience, which is annoying, and it's something that everybody finds when they're applying for any kind of job straight out of college. And it can just be a case of, not can just be a case, but it could be a case of contacting, your local groups and seeing if anyone's able to give you some more experience, and just keep applying, and eventually you'll so I did 2 years of that. I worked on very small shows, a couple of like mini tours, like they would start in London and then one went to Bury St Edmunds, for example, and I organised like the van and putting it all in the van and sending it up to the theatre and unpacking it and coming up with the lighting design and stuff with the in-house team there. So I did not just that show for 2 years, but I did several of those like little amateur shows, not amateur shows, sorry, expenses only shows, fringe shows. Sorry, cool. There we are. Yeah. So I did that for a few years, and with those experiences on my CV, I then applied. I applied for a job I didn't get, but they offered me another position that came up on the show. The show was called Yes, Prime Minister, and it was at what was then the Trafalgar Studios, which is where I am now. So it's becoming a big circle. My first commercial job in stage management is in the same theatre I'm in now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, nice circle moment.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah.
And then also you went with Mrs. Henderson Presents to Toronto in Canada, right? So it was on here. What was your role on that?
So I was ASM on that, assistant stage manager. That started in Bath. It was a Bath production. I had worked with the director and the stage management team before we'd done another show, a tour called Oh, What a Lovely War, on which I met my partner. And so that was several years ago now. And we then, I was then invited to work on Mrs. Henderson Presents, new musical as part of Bath's summer season that year. We did 4 or 5 weeks rehearsals for a 3-week run in Bath. And then the following year it transferred to the West End, went to the Noel Coward Theatre. And I was ASM there again with a bigger team because we were a bigger show now. So I had more ASMs, bigger stage management team. And we had a limited run until, I want to say it was like February to June, I think, of 2016. And then the following year, it became a co-production with another company who wanted to take it to Toronto. And I was part of the team that went over. It was unusual. It was not unusual. It was odd because Canada and America, they work so differently from the UK. Okay. They are very pro-union there. And there are things that we are allowed to do here that we are not allowed to do there. For example, there was a flight case which had our props in it. And I was with the props department trying to get our stuff out, but I wasn't allowed to move the cables that were on top because that was the lighting department's cables. So I had to go and find somebody in the lighting department and say, excuse me, could you please take your cables off our case? So he had to come over, take his cable, so the props person can open it. Right. So it was a very different way of working. Yeah. You know, in the UK, this piece of masking is got a slash in it, I will stitch that. Try and do that in America or Canada, and someone from the union goes, that's not your job. You need to get somebody else to do that. You need to get Steve to do that, please. Like, oh, okay, Steve was busy. Yeah, Steve is busy, but he will find time to stitch that curtain. Stop touching it. Okay. Yeah. Wow,
that sounds like a hassle, but...
Yeah, it isn't like, it's the right way of doing things, But over here, we're very much like, we're all in this together. Let's just do it. Whereas, it's a much, much stronger union over there, which I understand.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it being much more organised then. I guess things go missing a little bit less.
You'd hope.
Yeah. So was it 6 months you said you were in Toronto for?
I had 8 weeks. 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks.
Total.
Okay.
Yes.
How was it being away from, like, working in a different country? And
it was exciting. It was my first international sort of show. It was exciting for me, and it was great because the team I was going over with, we already knew each other very well, and a lot of the cast were returning with some new casts. So it was sort of exciting that it was the same but a little bit different, and getting to go, to go to a different country to see how it works there, and to do a show I knew well and really, really enjoyed working on in a new place was very exciting. And we saw some beautiful stuff in Canada. Yeah. Like, went to national parks and stuff, and people got really into hockey. They got really into it over there. Yeah. And curling, lots of curling on the TV.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing with the kettle and the broom.
Yeah.
People do actually watch that like they do watch soccer here. I thought that was not going to be the case, but it was.
No, that's interesting.
Great food too. good food scene in Toronto.
That's good. That's always good. So you went to Toronto primarily to train up a new team of stage management, right?
Yeah, sort of like as I was saying, like there are people there who do the job, so we're there to help. Not help. We're there to hand over effectively the show, and for every sort of UK person who comes over backstage, they have to have an equivalent in the building there. They have, unlike here, some houses do have it, such as some of the bigger houses. What's the one in Covent Garden? Completely from Royal Opera House. I think they have their own full props department. And in America and Canada, each show has a proper props department. In the UK, it would be part of stage management's role. There's like stage hands and props people. So I went over to turn 2 ASM tracks into 4 tracks. So split it per wing and work out how to coordinate that between 4 people. Which, yeah, we got there.
Yeah. That's interesting, splitting one role.
Yeah, so it's effectively splitting 1 into 2 twice in either wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is it more helpful to have more hands on deck, or do you think that it was not more helpful?
Is it more helpful to have more hands on deck? In some ways, yes, because, you know, it's easier, you know, if one person's looking after one item, if 2 people are looking after one item, you know, it might not be as easy as you think. But the more people there are, you know, if you've got a very tight wing space, the more people there are, the less useful that is.
Yeah.
Jersey Boys, the theatre is very small. They have done extremely well to fit quite a large production inside quite a small venue. And a lot of the stage management deck plots are moving furniture around and out the way and just making sure that cast don't trample each other as they try and enter and exit the wings. Yeah. It's way more coordinated and graceful than I just described it, but you know, it's one of those things you almost want to have a bird's eye view camera that like to record just how much Tetrising goes on. It is incredible, and they've worked. You know, I've come in quite late into the show. They've already set it up and have been running for years, and I've come in very late and just picking things up. But they've done incredible to do as much as they've done with as many people as they have in a limited amount of space. It is wonderful.
Yeah. You've done a couple of jobs with Mischief Theatre. How is that? Because they've got Play That Goes Wrong, Magic Goes Wrong, Bank Robbery Goes Wrong.
I'm just going to let you list them, yeah.
Peter Pan Goes Wrong.
Yeah.
Is there more?
Why do I think there's more?
I think that, they've got a whole TV series, right?
Got a TV show, yes, got a TV show. Yeah, they've got quite a lot going on.
Yeah.
Play That Goes Wrong, I think, in London is probably in its 15th or 16th year. I think it's been there quite a long time, yeah. And it's one of those shows that started out in a pub, you know, went to Edinburgh, has had a wonderful life since then. You know, a lot of stage management. Not a lot. Some people in stage management bristle a little bit, like, oh, it makes us look really bad because everything's going wrong. Maybe it just serves an example of, like, you know, if we don't do our jobs correctly, if we don't hammer that bit of setup properly, it will fall down on somebody's head. So it's almost an example of, it's almost a live example of what will happen if we don't do our jobs.
But also, I was thinking it must be quite important for the stage management crew on all of their goes wrong shows to be on it, because although it does go wrong, it's all happening when it's meant to happen.
Exactly.
And if, like you say, if you do miss anything, then it might actually go wrong.
Yeah. I think anyone who's in the Play That Goes Wrong cast, you know, not just the original Mischief team, but every cast since on tour and in town and all over the world, they get to know that show so well, and you can see them live troubleshooting. If something's slightly in the wrong place that's going to cause an accident, the cast members know that is going to happen and will move that item. It is, you know, they won't ever do anything detrimental to anyone's health and safety, but the health and safety on those shows are so paramount. So it is, you know, anyone who works on that show gets to know it very, very well. Yeah,
I can imagine. Was it good fun working on those?
Definitely, lots of energy.
Yeah.
Again, I've not originated one of those shows, but I came into, for example, Magic Goes Wrong, where they had originated that and it had been running for a little while, came back after COVID. You know, and people just, you know, same with pretty much any show, but they work, those cast members and those backstage teams work very, very hard to make it look like it's going wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and make it look as smooth and is as safe and as entertaining as they are. Yeah, they're also doing Mind Mangler now. I remember that's another one they're doing. That's a spin-off from Magic Goes Wrong.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Oh, in Magic Goes Wrong, there's a mind reader who's not very good, and his friend, the stooge audience member, who often wears things like a shirt that says audience member to blend in. And they've just finished kind of a spin-off of a show, Magic Goes Wrong. They're doing My Mangler on tour.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And I have nothing to do with that. I just went to see it. It was good.
Yeah. I definitely need to go and see it. I've seen Play That Goes Wrong, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. I really want to see the magic.
It is
the
great.
magic goes wrong. Let's talk about your off-stage life. So you work backstage 6 days a week, and you very kindly come in today on your day off. Normally on your days off, and obviously in the mornings, what do you do to wind down? Is it like, do you just sleep?
I've been known to sleep. I've been known to sleep a lot. I think hobbies and having, friends, family, or whoever or whatever outside of theatre, something that's not work related, that is just yours, is very beneficial. I think definitely for me. When I was a bit younger, I would, on tours especially as well, because it's quite easy to do. Is you go do the show, and then you go out. Especially on tour, there's not much else to do. It's a good bonding experience as well to go out, either during, after the show, go for a few drinks, whatever, or during the day, going out and bonding. And I think when I was a lot younger, it was easy just to roll out of bed, go do the show, go back to bed. But it's been more enjoyable and fulfilling to, say when you're on tour, go out and explore the town you're in. Sometimes you've been there a few times, sometimes it's the first time you've been. And there are some great cities I've really enjoyed being at. And there are some where there's not really much going on, but, nice scenery, go for a walk,
Yeah.
When I'm in, it's been nice to be on a long running show in my hometown, London, because I get to be at home with my partner and my cat and my garden, and, and just do nice things with them. And when you're on tour, you can, either go out on your own. It's okay to have your own space. I think you spend a lot of time with people you work with in any industry, and you get quite tightly bonded, I think, particularly when you're on tour, because you're all in this together, all moving around the country as one. But it's also nice to take your own time and just have a little coffee in a cafe you saw on the way to work one day, or do a group activity. We've done lots of group activities over the time. Go karting, or or go up, climb Arthur's Seat, or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite city that you've toured to?
Favourite city? Edinburgh is amazing. So I've not been there during the Edinburgh Festival, so I don't know how hectic it gets. I've yet to experience it for some reason. But yeah, that's great place to be. Yeah. So much to do, see, and so many other, hop on a train, go and see another part of Scotland. It's amazing. Yeah,
it's a lovely city. I like Edinburgh too. Yeah. Obviously, it's quite unsocial hours working in the theatre industry, whether you're performing or if you're in a backstage role. So do you manage to find time? Just because obviously if you've got friends that work 9 till 5, it's quite difficult to line up schedules. So do you find yourself?
It's becoming more of a challenge. I think a lot of shows are moving into operating on a Sunday. When I started in theatre, there weren't that many Sunday shows, but now there's quite a lot more, and that's not a bad thing. You're kind of, this is an industry where, as you've said, you're expected to work antisocial hours. We're not working often well into the night unless you're doing get-ins and get-outs on tour. So it can be a challenge. It's. I have a day off in the week because we do Sunday shows. So we have a day off in the week on Jersey Boys, and that doesn't line up with my family because they work 9 to 5 jobs in education. And so I sort of get to see them during the summer holidays and so time off. And on the show like this, I'm able to book holiday, whereas when you're freelancing often, you can't take time off because there's no cover, and it's just it's not necessarily feasible. Sure. You have to negotiate that going into it, and just be willing to accept that you might not be able to do it. Of course, there are exceptions to that if you have family reasons, for example. But but sort of general I'd like to take my birthday off. It's not really going to happen. So I'm able to take some time off. So I'm able to spend some time with people to
Yeah,
catch them up.
that's nice.
And you find the time, like I say, I don't work all day every day. I work mostly evenings. We will have a cast change coming up in a few months' time, so that is going to be pretty much all day every day
Full on, yeah.
for a few weeks, and then doing weekly rehearsals, getting the understudies up to speed, and all the swings and all the maintenance that you do. So you don't just do shows. You don't just come in at half an hour before the show, do the show and go home. Like you come in several hours before to set up. Wigs and wardrobe will be in from the morning doing setting the hair and laundering the costumes. People at stage door have to get there before that and be there at 7 a.m. to start letting people in.
Yeah.
So there's not even just us backstage. There's even people outside of that who the stage doorkeepers and the front of house and the in-house technical departments who run the building, keep the lights switched on and make sure it all runs. Like there's so many other people. But going back to it, it can be challenging, but you sort of find time.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the industry, really, isn't it? You know what you're getting into. So
yeah, exactly. Well, and thanks to social media and texting, like it's a lot easier now than it would have been 20 years ago to text my friend, and be like, "Hi, how are you?"
Yeah,
previously
for sure.
I'd have to send a letter, and that would have taken ages.
Yeah, carrier pigeon, just check how they are. Do you have? Obviously, you mentioned Jersey Boys is. It hasn't got an end at the minute, so that must be nice that you can settle into it. Is there an end in sight at the minute, or are you kind of just enjoying having the time to take holiday, have a schedule that is set?
I think, definitely enjoying the, any show can receive its notice at any point. Just because I've signed many contracts that say it's a year's contract, but it's not really going to be because it's only booking a certain amount of time, and producers have to make decisions about whether they want to keep shows open or not. But this is booking for a few months now, and the producers are hopeful to keep it going because they really love the show. Like you can tell they put a lot of heart and a lot of work into this. So it's good to know that we're on a show that is well loved and people want it to run for a while. So I'm, I haven't done a lot of long running shows. I think my last longest running show was Jeeves and Wooster in 2013. And I did nearly a year on that in total. And I'm hoping to do a year on Jersey, but I'm hoping just to eke it out, get above Jeeves and Wooster.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to stay and be there for a while and really get to know the show and do a good job.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. So now we have come to our game section. We always do a little game with our guests, and today we've got Would I Improv to You? So similar to Would I Lie to You? I've got 3 facts here, which my lovely producer Ella has put together with you. I'm going to read the 2 facts and 1 lie, and I'm going to try and decipher which one are the facts and which one is the lie. So we've got number 1. It says these facts are in no particular order. Number 1, Hayley was once the back end of a pantomime cow. She did a wonderful job. And we've got number 2. Once on a mischief show, Hayley got to have a little cameo saying a line for her last day working for the show. That's fun. Fact 3, once on a show, Hayley had a colleague called Holly. Everyone constantly called her Holly, and she never corrected them. Long live Holly. These are 3 very good ones. I like these 3. So I know that you started off with a performing background, and I feel like it is quite easy to get dragged into being the back end of a pantomime horse. So it wouldn't surprise me, pantomime cow, it wouldn't surprise me if that one was real, because especially with little village shows, it's all hands on deck. If you don't have a back of a cow, then someone just needs to step in and be the back of the cow. On a Mischief show, obviously we mentioned that you worked with Mischief. Hayley got to... I really hope that's true, because that sounds really fun. But also, if you were working on it, maybe you wouldn't have the time to go and say a line. And also, would they, in a Mischief show, they would be able to just write in a little part, because that's kind of the vibe of the show. This is hard. Once on a show, Hayley had a colleague called Holly. This is hard. This is hard.
This is a good game. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. I'm going to try asking you some questions. So, Was it just too awkward to correct them and tell them that you weren't Holly?
Yeah, it was just, my name is Hayley, Holly. I could just,
Similar ring to it.
Let me do. I'll be fine. I knew you meant me. It's fine. Yeah.
Did they also call Holly Holly?
Yeah.
So they just thought there was two Hollies.
I don't know. I think people just got confused, and it was just easier to be like, oh, Holly, yeah. Oh, Holly will take care of that. Yeah.
Okay. Can you remember the cameo line on your last day?
Oh no, that was the whole line.
Okay.
It was a very small line.
Yeah.
So you see how easy it was to write in. You just go,
yeah, very easy. And what show were you a cow?
Jack and the Beanstalk.
Jack and the Beanstalk. There is a cow in Jack and the
There
Beanstalk.
is.
That was quick as well. That was very fast. This is hard. Maybe you should go back into the performing side because I believe all of your answers.
Great.
I want to say the Holly one is a lie. Just because if someone kept calling me Mike, I would be like, I'm not, I'm Matt. That's Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Matt. What do you guys think? No clue. Obviously, Ella knows the answer. So I'm gonna go.
Her hair's so big, it's full of secrets. Oh, it's the wrong show.
My gut is telling me that number 3 is the lie, but my head is telling me that it's not. I'm gonna go with number 3 is
Number 3. Which
the
one's 3?
lie. That's once on a show you had a colleague called Holly, and everyone called you Holly, and you never corrected them.
Okay.
Is that true?
That is true.
That's true.
Yes, people kept calling me Holly, and it was just easier to roll with it than to correct them because I spent a couple of days correcting them, and it never really set in. So yeah. But
so you tried to correct them.
I did initially. They would be like, "Hey, Holly, Hayley. Oh yeah, you're Hayley. Hayley, can you?" After a while, it was just easier.
Just leave it. Yeah, you've tried.
Yeah, I now start every rehearsal period with a little my name is Hayley on my lapel, and then it's just easier.
That's funny. Okay.
That's real. Yeah. I wouldn't stand for that now.
No,
I'm a bit more confident now.
Hayley. Okay, in that case, I really want the cameo line to be true because that's really fun, and it feels very on brand. So you weren't the back end of a pantomime cow.
I was the back end of a pantomime cow. Yeah.
In Jack and the Beanstalk.
In Jack and the Beanstalk, in the in my school's production of Jack and the Beanstalk, we needed the back of the cow. I was there ready. I was the dancing legs of the back of the cow. Yes, unfortunately, the mischief line isn't real. However, in Magic Goes Wrong, the stage management teams all were in the show. So I did appear, but I didn't have a line.
Okay.
Yeah, I appeared mopping up some blood when the curtains arrived.
Goodness.
We were scrubbing some blood. Everyone saw me. I ran off. Not just me, a couple of the members as well. But yeah.
Oh, that's really fun. Yeah. That was good. You did very well. Okay. All of your answers were very good.
Well, I'd take up poker. What brilliant.
Yeah. We do have a little gift to say thank you for coming on.
Thanks.
I think prepared. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ollie. So here you are. It's made by my very good friend Ellie, and she has a small business in which she knits and crochets personalised items.
Oh, wow.
She's called the Yorkshire Knitter. You can find her on Instagram. So we've got a little gift for you here. She's very lovingly handmade it, and it's really cool. So feel free to open it.
Okay.
Yeah, open
Yorkshire
it now.
Knitter.
Yeah, that's her. She's so good.
That's amazing.
And she's got the little tag on it.
Oh, it's a little stage man. It's a
and
little
it's a little you, yeah, with your little headset on.
She is going to live with me. Her name is going to be Holly, and she is going to live with me at Prom Corner at Jersey Boys.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you so much. That's really cute.
No, that's okay. Thank you for coming
Matt.
on.
Thank you, everybody.
That's okay. But yeah, it's been wicked having you on. It's been really interesting delving into your side of the industry, because there's just so many things that you don't realise are going on. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Have a lovely rest of your day.
You as well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Into the Wings. It was a pleasure chatting with Hayley and getting to know everything that happens backstage. Make sure that you like, follow, share, subscribe, all of that lovely stuff,
to make sure you don't miss any future episodes and any behind the scenes sneak peeks.